So in this video, I want to talk about an issue that a lot of drone business owners go through, and really that's something common to entrepreneurship in general. Running a business, of course, there's so much that goes into it, and we're always busy, right? Sometimes I really think busy can be like a buzzword for a lot of folks, but really the key to all this is getting in control of your time and getting in control of your schedule. If you listen to any successful entrepreneur, they're all going to talk about how we all have the same amount of hours in a day. It's just that they will use their time to get certain things done. And that really only comes from you being able to control your schedule. So today we're going to talk about 7 tips you can use to really take control of your time, things that I'm using in my day-to-day in running a business as well, things that have worked for me, and really just to give you some ideas on how you can get stuff done. So the key here is going to be to work smarter and not harder. So number one on the list is time blocking. And this is really a simple concept where you literally just block out time for certain segments of work. So what I do is I block time for deep work, and I'll talk about what deep work includes. I also block out certain times for meetings during the day, and then any type of like administrative task. And really having those pockets of time allow me to focus on certain areas of the business. So if you're trying to really cram everything into a short amount of time, it's really just going to leave you overwhelmed, and you're really not going to push the needle on what you need to do. So first up is just to understand where in the day that you have time to get things done, and you want to block out time for those certain activities. Number 2, and building off of that, is really taking meetings at a certain time of day. And this is something that has really made sense as I've grown as an entrepreneur. But if you think about it, really one meeting can throw your entire day off. So let's say you're looking at your morning, you just have one meeting, let's say at 10:30, right? Now, before that meeting, depending on the complexity and depending on what's going on, you're probably gonna have to do some sort of prep. That may be looking over the previous notes or looking at the client's website, gathering information, right? So that all happens before the meeting. And then after the meeting, there may be some sort of debrief or some other task that may come along. But depending on how intense the meeting is, you may just want to take a break right after that meeting. So even if this meeting was just a half an hour, now you have time that you had to prep for that meeting. Now you have time that you had to debrief, and that can really disrupt your whole morning. Now you literally don't have time in the morning to do any deep work, right? To really accomplish any meaningful task, because by the time you get back into the groove, it's already afternoon and you may have other things to do then. So you really have to think, what time of day works for me to have meetings? Don't just leave it all day for someone to just book a call or just blindly just take calls at any time of the day. If your time for calls are in the afternoon between 1 and 4, stick to that, right? Because that's going to ensure that you leave the rest of the day for getting other things done, and you're not disrupting your day by having just random meetings. The other thing that can happen is you have these spaced out meetings where you may have a meeting at 1 o'clock and then a meeting at 2:30 and then another one at 3:30. And depending on when these meetings end, there's all these like pockets of time where you really can't do any type of serious work. So my advice would be to try to merge your schedule as much as you can and have these meetings in a cluster so that you don't have these like empty pockets of time that really cut into your day and cut into you being able to be more productive. Number 3, and this is certainly something that I've implemented recently, but it's not only just having certain times a day for your meetings, but having certain days for your meetings as well. So something that I've tried to implement recently is I don't take calls on Tuesdays or Thursdays. And it really allows for me like a predictable way to know when I'm going to be taking calls, how I need to prepare for those calls. And I know that Tuesdays and Thursdays are going to be days where I don't have to jump on a call and I can just focus on getting some work done. So if you're taking calls at all days of the week, all times of the week, you really are going to have a messy schedule, and you're not going to be able to get into the groove again with being productive. So I would just start with one day. Just pick a day during the week where you say, hey, you know what, this is my no call day. I'm just going to spend this day getting work done, and just see how that works. And then maybe you can work up to something like I'm doing now, where it's 2 days a week where I totally just spend to deep work and getting those things done. So now we're on to number 4, and I've mentioned deep work a few times before now, but deep work really is the crux of all this. And the reason why some drone business owners aren't able to move the needle is they just don't have the time to dedicate to getting things done. So setting aside specific time for deep work is going to allow you to do that. So typically they recommend anywhere from an hour and a half to 2 hours. I tend to go sometimes a bit longer, but hour and a half to 2 hours is a perfect block of time for you to use to get some work done. And so you want to identify 1 or 2 major tasks that you can complete in this time and really just focus on that. You're not opening up any tabs. You're not doing any other specific work besides what you have set out in those 1 to 2 tasks. So this really forces you to focus on what that deliverable is, what that task is, and you can use that time to actually get the thing that you need to get done. Number 5 is remove distractions. So it's easy in these deep work sessions to, of course, have your phone by, or as I just mentioned, having your computer laptop open and having so many tabs. By the way, I hate having so many tabs open. I used to, do that, but now if I see too many tabs open, I'll literally just close out the entire window and just, come back to it. But yeah, that gives me some anxiety. But yeah, definitely don't want to have too many tabs running at once. But yeah, distractions will throw you off, and even your phone, right? And of course, we have families, we have responsibilities, and we can't be offline, but you do need to remove distractions as much as possible. So it's so easy to look at your phone and start scrolling or checking emails, and then someone calls, and you remember you need to message someone, and there's so many different things that can happen just by picking up that one phone. So if there's a way that you can just remove that distraction while you're doing deep work, that would definitely help you. And in addition to this, I would identify what are the distractions for you, right? It's not just a phone, but there may be certain things that throw you off, and so you want to make sure that whatever is going to trigger you to be distracted and to lose that focus, you want to make sure that you're removing that. Number 6, and you may not have seen this coming, but to find some music that you can use to help you focus. There are tons of suggestions out there, from jazz to motion picture music, Hans Zimmer. But what I would suggest is just find something that works for you, right? Obviously, you don't want to play music that's going to distract you as well, but something that can allow you to just work and get in that mode. For me personally, I listen to a lot of instrumentals, kind of lo-fi beat style instrumentals that are just really cool and just really allow me to zone out. I will say, though, that there are certain tasks that I have to put full concentration on, and I literally just need silence. But there are definitely certain tasks where if I have music with me, it definitely helps like the flow of me getting things done. So just think about that, find what works for you, and you can explore using that. And number 7 is to batch create. And when it comes to content like this, or writing blog posts, or sending out emails, or sending out things for social media, you really want to make sure that you are creating multiple pieces of content at once. If you're trying to space out content or doing it daily when you don't have experience, it's just not going to get done. So you want to make sure that you're carving out time for these things, and just make sure that you have a schedule for getting it done. For instance, right now we're in early November, and a few days before the month, I always sit down and look at, all right, for these different weeks in November, what do I want to talk about? Are there any big events coming up? What do I want to focus on this month? What does my audience want to hear about? I always go back and check the analytics and see what posted well, and that really guides me on what I need to create. But there's definitely one time a month where I write out all these different subjects. And of course, things change throughout the month. It's never like the exact plan that I create in the beginning that always plays out. But at least that gives me a framework that I can use when I am ready to start posting, and it's not something I'm just making up day to day. So those are some tips and advice for managing your time. So of course, moving the needle requires an extreme amount of focus, and we're all busy, right? We all have things going on, some more than others, of course. But like I said, we all have the same amount of hours in a day, and to really move the needle, you have to find the time to get things done. I'll talk more about delegating tasks, right? So you don't feel like you have to do everything on your own. You don't have to do everything on your own. You want to be able to use these sessions to create SOPs and create processes so you can bring on people to help you run the business. So that's a subject that I'll talk about in another video. But yeah, hopefully these tips help you and understand how you can better manage your time as a business owner and as a drone entrepreneur. So going to be doing more videos like this. Let me know if you have any questions. We have some descriptions about how you can work with us if you need some help managing and running and really setting out strategy for your drone business. So thanks for checking out the video, and I will see you in the next one.